Get ready and tune into the Doctor's Guide podcast, Raw and Unfiltered, a unique platform to help you optimize your health through dynamic role playing, real life challenges with expert guests and your host, Dr. Bart Rademaker.
I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, and this is the Doctor's Guide podcast, Raw and Unfiltered. And have you ever wondered, why are you so stuck in your life when it comes to your health, maybe your kids, maybe yourself, maybe somebody else in your family? How's it that you need to show up and it's just not happening? And so when there's so much information out there, it's almost leading you to way too much confusion. And in confusion, you're not going to make a decision. So who do you trust? And so what I want to do for you today is go through some role playing, so that rather than trying to figure out what's the right item, what's the right product, what's the right therapy that's going to be right for you, it's helping you understand and navigate that process by which you want to make the right decisions for yourself. So rather than selling a product or a process or a person, this is all about selling a process by which you can then make the best decisions for yourself. And through role playing, I've got these amazing human beings with me today. I'm so honored that they're both here. That's Loren and Anastasia. I've known them for quite some time. And they are incredible in the space of personal transformation, helping many, many people, particularly women, get into that best version of themselves with the experience, incredible experience that they both have in making that actually happen. So what's going to happen today is that we're going to do a brief role play for about 6 minutes. One of them will then present with a particular problem, and then the other one's going to guide them through that problem to some sort of resolution or towards a resolution. And then ultimately after that, what we'll do is we'll unpack it, and you'll find some relevance of this perhaps in your life or in somebody else's life. So once again, I'm deeply honored to have once again Anastasia on this platform. And then, of course, the amazing Loren Lahav as well. So Anastasia, please introduce yourself, and then we'll go to Loren, and then we'll start the role playing.
Hello, I'm Anastasia. I'm a results coach, and I'm very honored to be on the Dr. Bart podcast.
Well, thank you for that, Anastasia. And she is a very humble person because there's so much about her that she hasn't shared, but you can decide afterwards for yourself. Otherwise, I'll make sure that you connect with her. So Loren, tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll start from there.
Well, I too am honored to be here with you, Doctor, and very, very excited. I am first and foremost a proud mama of 3 beautiful children, a 27-year-old son, a 22-year-old, 16-year-old daughter, and a bonus daughter who's 27 as well. I've been in the personal development world for 33 years. My real passion is helping women really own their worth and stay true to who they are.
I love it. And we need so much more people like yourself on stage, by the way, Loren, to basically help women understand their real worth, because that's so underplayed these days. And so I really appreciate you there. And then for individual coaching, I know that Anastasia is amazing as well. And both of you are that. So Anastasia, what role and problem are you playing today? And then we'll go with Loren, and then we'll get started.
The problem and the challenge I will be talking about, it's the challenge with my teenage daughter. And because I've just served a youth leadership camp, I've noticed that this problem is very painful for actually not only her, but a lot of other teenagers. And that's why I wanted to get the qualified and advice from not only a proud mama, but also an international speaker, best-selling author, and a great presenter who I love dearly.
Well, thank you for adding all those things that Loren, just left out, by the way. So, and Loren, well, we now know who you are. So anything else you want to add to that?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I think that the reason she wants to ask me this is because I've had the honor and privilege of teaching a health seminar, as you know, for the past 22 years. I launched the program for the Tony Robbins companies back in 2001, and I was teaching about 36 week-long programs for 2.5 years. And I think over the past 22 years, I've taught, I don't know, maybe 250, 300 of these programs, and seeing a lot of things come through. And it's funny because I love that you're doing this, Dr. Bart, because well, I was just talking to somebody yesterday. Someone was like, what's the right school for my kid to go to? I want them to go to this school. And I always say to people, pick the right school for your kid, not the right school, right? And I think that's what happens. People just, their intentions are good. They want to make sure that their kids are served, but you have to understand and really appreciate your child and where they're at in their life in order to really help them make that transformation.
Well,
And
let's play that out. So let's role play that for 6 minutes, and thank you for all of that. And then let's get started, Anastasia.
Ring, ring. Hi, Loren.
hello, my dear friend. How are you?
To be honest, I want to be polite and say that I'm very well. How are you? But I just want to be honest and just to say I'm an absolute mess and a wreck and very emotional and angry and pissed off. And honestly, I don't know what to do.
I hear you. I've been there before. So one, just know that you're in the right place. I'm here. You know me. I'm here to support you and hear you of what's going on. So what's happening? What's up?
So my daughter, she's a teenager, and she's been recently just maybe arrogant, maybe rude. And, the more I try to ask her what's going on, the more she's brushing me off. And then I realized she went to see a doctor, and they diagnosed her with a depression, and they prescribed her the pills. And I'm like, what do I do? And irony of this, I'm drinking from this cup that says you got this, and I feel I'm actually losing it, because to see your own child on a medication, and I just honestly, I'm in despair.
Yeah, I totally understand. I really do. I've been there. It's as hard as it is to say, I have been there before. So I want you to know that I'm here to serve you however that I can. And one, I'd love to just acknowledge your daughter, first of all, because I think that the fact that she did reach out for some kind of help, maybe it wasn't the help that you were hoping that she would kind of go there with, but the fact that she did go there, I think that we have to acknowledge that. So I think as parents, we have kind of like I just said, like we have this idea of how we think that it's supposed to look for our child, and this is the way that they're supposed to do it. But I think really acknowledging that she did go get help is a really beautiful thing. Would you agree?
I agree.
Because there's a lot of other kids, unfortunately, that don't do that, or they turn and they might turn to something that is even worse than what we could do, or start to hang around different people that might not support them. So I just want to really acknowledge her that obviously because of she did say, you know what, I got my hands up. I am going to go out there and look for help. So, there's another thing that I always love to talk about is when I see someone acting out, especially kids, I don't know, you've been a kid, right? Remember when you were a kid? Remember when you were her age with regards to it? I don't know about you, but I didn't tell my parents everything. Did you tell your parents everything when you were 16?
I told them nothing.
Yeah. So the fact, I think what's really beautiful as well is just acknowledging your daughter, that she did have the courage and that you do have a beautiful relationship, that she has come to you. And times are very different, right? There's a lot of things that she could have just just not told you about that she was having an issue. So the fact that she did share that with you, I think is really beautiful as well. And, whenever I see someone acting out a certain way, I learned this many years ago, and I heard someone say, whenever we're assuming that when someone's acting out, or when they're angry, or when they're pissed off, or whatever that is, I always ask myself, maybe there's something I don't know, right? Maybe there's something I don't know. I don't know what happened to cause her to really feel that way, or for him to feel that way. Do you think there could be something there that maybe there's something you don't know?
Absolutely, because she doesn't talk to me at all. I only get like an abrupt answer, sometimes not even a good morning, not even a good night. She just I feel like I'm just a roommate.
Yeah. And so, I think the other thing is, what do you feel that, when did this, was there something that triggered this? Would you say that there's something that triggered this emotion?
Probably, we've been separating from my husband, and maybe that also like a part of it. I always try to be loving, but I just like feel like it's not reciprocated.
Right. So here's the other thing. When you came to me for some coaching with regards to this, I think a big thing lots of times is that sometimes as parents, we try too hard to be a friend versus to really be that parent as well. Right. And sometimes as a parent, we have to do, it's one of my, I would say my morning, my kind of code of conduct that I live by. And that would be to do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing. To do the right thing, and if it's a hard thing. And it got me into, I have a responsibility to make sure to take care of my kids and show up as the parent, not just as the friend. So where do you think as a parent, you need to show up differently?
Loren, that's a great question, because I don't think I know the difference, because my mom always wanted to be so hard to be my best friend. And the more she tried, the more I hated and despised her for that. You're not my friend, you're not in my age group. Like Apple, like you need to be a parent. And she didn't have that concept.
So do you see yourself repeating that pattern a little bit? Yeah. So you see yourself repeating, you might have just had a little breakthrough right there, right? And realizing that you're recognizing that there's the pattern as well, that a pattern as well. So what would be for you? I have a question for you. What would be the right thing for you to do, even if it's the hard thing right now for you?
Probably at least, like define the problem in solvable terms, even to understand what does parent actually means like. What does it mean to be a parent? How can I be a parent rather than friends and trying to act her age, because I'm not her age and I'm not a teenager.
Right. But you've had life experience, right? So you know what it's like to be there. So you have that, but you're not, but like you said, you're not her age right now. So what would be the first step right now? First of all, acknowledge yourself, right? We want to just, I think the biggest thing, we don't celebrate enough, right? You've done a kick-ass job. So one, I think acknowledging yourself, just that you've done a kick-ass job, that you're doing the best that you can. And also realizing that you've been running a pattern that your mom ran with you of trying to be her friend versus like stepping up as a parent right now. So one, you said you've just come back and you've heard about other kids that are going through this. Is it the depression that you're feeling that they're having? Is that what you feel that you're seeing a lot of kids have, or what?
We have 1 minute left, guys.
Okay. That was like actually cutting.
Yes. Right. And so do you think, and we know that cutting is mostly a cry for what? We know this.
Help.
It's always a cry for help, I mean, personally, I've seen that happen lots of times as well with regards to it. So with regards to it, here would be my coaching right now. One, acknowledge your daughter and let her know, congratulations. I'm so proud of you for actually having your hands up, that you want to do something about this. Two, that you recognizing that you have something that you need to shift, that you've been running a pattern of something that you've done that your mom did with you, and that letting her know that you're going to first get better for yourself and to show up as the parent. And then so that you can show up 10,000% as the parent, and that she respects and that she can turn to, and that she knows is going to be there to help her find the solutions. And then just letting her know that's where we're going to start, and ask for her agreement with regards to that. How does that sound to you?
Sounds great, because I believe that every child deserves the childhood that they don't need to heal from. And it's my responsibility to show up as that parent. Thank you so much, Laura.
I love it. Brilliant. That was amazing, both of you. So we'll start off with Anastasia. What was that for you? What was going on? And just briefly, so that we have time to unpack it all.
For me, first of all, the incredible, extraordinary ability of Lauren to stay in a beautiful state, no matter where I was emotionally. She never dropped, her beautiful state. And I felt differently and empowered, that actually I can control now the situation, because before I felt like I couldn't, because I didn't think I could influence. But then I realized if I show up as a parent, then, there is a possibility for a healing to occur. And, that I felt very different to how we started and how we ended. And then also, I think it was the fastest 1 minute coaching I've ever received. That was so impactful.
Excellent. Lauren, what was that for you? What was going on?
I think we always talk about that you shouldn't take somebody a place that you haven't been. My husband, here, for the health of it, my husband just brought me a juice, so I hope we're good with that.
Oh, great husband. I want one of those.
So I think the biggest thing is understand, I think more than anything that we've learned through this world of personal development is understanding and appreciating someone's world is the most important thing. And just understanding where she's at, understanding what she's going on. And then, we beat ourselves up enough in our normal day life. When it's compounded with a kid or two kids or kids on top of it, it can be a lot. So I just love just to be there and just to hold the space for her more than anything. I didn't really, I didn't know where I was really going to go with it other than to help her acknowledge that her daughter was doing something great. It made, at least she went and did something, and then acknowledge Anastasia of where she's at and, let her know she's doing great. We just have to make a couple tweaks. I believe people don't need a whole makeover. I think they just need a couple tweaks in their life.
Well, beautifully said. And apparently there's a common theme these days is that we need to acknowledge ourselves and take care of ourselves first so that we can be the super mom or the super dad or brother, sister, whatever for other people. And somehow we seem to be neglecting that. I do agree with Anastasia, how you position yourself, Lauren, was amazing. It was a beautiful thing. And what I got more out of it than anything else is your own personal power. You stepped into that personal power with tons of confidence. And, whenever we're looking for someone to coach us, quite frankly, that's the kind of person that we want to have. Because too often people are not in that state of absolute, I wouldn't say absolute power, but in that strength, and they're going to actually give you the answers that you want versus the ones that you need. And so I really appreciated that, from you, Lauren and Anastasia. What a beautiful thing now to share with us. The problems that many parents have and oftentimes are not even aware of it. And full transparency, I have 3 of my own kids. I came from a separated family as well. Or I should say my family did separate, and I was very unaware of a lot of things. I wanted to find out many of those later on. And our children deserve us to be there fully present. But again, acknowledging them for who they are, I think is powerful. So let's go ahead and unpack, this even further, and would love to hear from you guys more specifically. What is it that you're finding? What are some insights that people can have? And then potentially some action steps that they can move forward. And I give you both the floor.
So unpack it a little bit further. I think one, it's so funny. I just came back, as I shared with you, and it's from my daughter's 16th birthday. And so I think that there were 16 kids that I was just with. That's why it looks so fabulous today, because I slept on the couch at the Cosmo. But I think that for you, I didn't come from a place of being her friend there. With that space, I was very clear. I was very clear that, I learned a lot. I've learned a lot from my husband. He said something when he met my kids, and he's kind of tough, and he said, I don't need your kids to love me. I need your kids to respect me.
Yep.
And he said, and I love that. He goes, and I'm not just talking about them respecting me. I will respect them, but there needs to be a respect there first before anything.
Yep.
And, it's interesting. And when I started looking at my values and our values just as a couple, I realized that number one is respect for both of us. And when there's that mutual respect there for each other, everything else falls into place. Like, you would never do anything like that. If respect really is number one, then it's everything else. It's like, well, of course I would never talk like that to my mom, or do this way intentionally, do this not. So really looking at the values, I think, are super important. Like your values, your values of your daughter, I think, is a really important thing. But deciding for you. And so all those kids, what was interesting, if I would just use this last day and a half as an example, all of them realized, like, man, she's not trying to be our friend. She's like keeping us in order. She's making sure to keep us safe. She doesn't really care if we don't like her or not because she knows, and guess what? Every one of them thanked me, right? So they knew because I showed up as the parent, not as the friend. So.
I think you reveal a very important, thing about healthy relationships. And that is simply this. I mean, we all want this connection. We all want the love, but sometimes we confuse the love that we've earned with just pleasing someone else and getting the love that you think that you're going to get, because just by pleasing others, you're never going to get that. But when you're a role model, when you're an example, when you are someone that we aspire to be, then that love is so much deeper, because now it's built in with a desire to be like you, and also coming from respect. And so too often, many of us in our societies today are feeling very alone, and therefore we're seeking to please others to get that love. Anastasia, what do you want to add?
I just want to add from my personal experience that I've been asking coaches, not Loren, and I've been giving an advice like you have to punish your daughter when she does the wrong thing, and and I can tell you from my experience that particular advice didn't work with me and didn't work with us. The more I tried to punish her, the more resentful she became. So my life arc became that I was loving her even after she made a mistake, and I was loving her even more. And that actually created a healing. And, and it made it okay for her to be rude, to do whatever it is. And I just told her that I love her no matter what. And it doesn't matter how many wrong steps and wrong decisions she's made. She always got me, and I love her regardless. That was probably the beginning of the transformation. And I started building on little things and creating an outcome. For example, rather than just driving her to school, I created an outcome for us to have the best time in our lives during this car ride. And then she was resentful, like she wanted to use her phone, and she didn't want to. And then it was slowly, first we were driving in silence, then we were driving and playing a game, then we were driving and having fun. And now she's 19. And for me, the blessing was when I just came from youth leadership camp. And she's like, Mom, can we go to McDonald's? There is like a new raspberry and custard pie there. So when I was driving to the McDonald's right near us, she said, no, can we go to the one that is very far away near the airport? So she associates now our ride with fun times. And that's our time to connect, to share. And I thought that was beautiful. And even I'm the parent with no rules, like she's writing me the cards now, Mom, thank you so much for being so selfless. So thank you so much for being so kind. So it's maybe not advice for everyone, but that personally worked for me, just to love no matter what.
Yeah, and I want to add to that, and it's also what Loren kind of said earlier, respect and appreciate somebody else's world. I mean, the truth is this, is that our children are behaving based on all the things that we taught them, and others have taught them as well. So in a way, it's really not their fault. And if they're not behaving the way that we want them to behave, then it's up to us to be their best guide, loving unconditionally and not scolding, not punishing, at least not after a certain age, because that just doesn't work. It just does the opposite. But one thing that I've learned recently, and it goes once, it's more granular than just appreciating the world. It's what frame are they in this moment, and what frame are you in? And so it's sort of recognizing where are you at right now, and what is it that your other person, in this case your child, what do they need? Where are they coming from? Are they frustrated? Are they scared? What's going on with them? And not necessarily having to fully understand that or judge that, which you shouldn't do anyhow, but actually know what's really going on, but at least having a sense, and then being able to find some flexibility in yourself. And I know that's a word, that one of our favorite words in the world that we live in, right, is being flexible with, okay, let's go to that other one. Let's not do this one. Let's go. And so your life changes in that moment, but is it okay? Right? So I love this conversation. Time is up. So let's wrap it up, Anastasia, once again, with one final comment, and then how do people get a hold of you? And then we'll go to Loren, and then I'll wrap it up after that. So Anastasia, you first.
Well, I would like to finish with a joke. I told my daughter, like, you didn't come with a manual how to raise you. I said, you're like a first pancake that is burnt. I didn't know. I wasn't taught, right? And you can get a hold of me through Instagram and also through my website, which is Dr. Bart will put on the screen. And thank you so much for listening.
Awesome. Loren, how do people get a hold of you? And one last comment from you as well.
One last comment. Let's see. One last comment is, what did I say? Maybe we've got a little bit ahead of everybody, Bart, because we got 3. So we get a different opportunity with 3.5 because they're all so different, right? Like what worked with the first one didn't work with the second one, didn't work with the third one, doesn't work with the bonus daughter. So maybe we've got a little bit ahead. So we're here to share what we've learned from our working with the 3 plus my bonus daughter. And how they get a hold of me, you can go to Loren Lahav, Loren Lahav, LAHAV.com. I'm on Instagram. I am Loren Lahav, and you can find me pretty much everywhere too. Go to YouTube. I got a lot on YouTube, and just real raw conversations just like this.
And for all you women out there, and guys as well, by the way, these 2 are super women. They're rock stars. Definitely people you want to learn more about. Wonderful coaching, wonderful personal guidance, wonderful events. And definitely we need more of you guys to help us understand better how it is that we need to show up and supporting women in all their lives, because they also really need it. So once again, I am Dr. Bart Rademaker, and this is the Doctor's Guide podcast, Raw and Unfiltered. And as you notice, I mumbled a few times there because, I wasn't sure what dimension I was in, or maybe it was my cat just in making the interruptions. And that's the whole point in all of this, is being okay with what happens, who you are. And as I like to say, I celebrate my faults and my weaknesses, and so should you. And so give yourself a pat in the back that at least you're listening to these beautiful women today and finding out what it is that you can do differently for yourself, because you know what? We all deserve that. And when we all work for ourselves and for others, we raise that vibration and the world is a whole better place. Sign up for more. We'll be back. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to The Doctor's Guide, an innovative approach to help you navigate the complexities of your health journey with Dr. Bart Rademaker and his expert guests. Tune in to more insights and action steps in our next episode every weekday at 6 p.m. Eastern.